Welcome back to The Explainer. So, have you ever wondered why you can absolutely binge an entire TV series in one single weekend, but sitting down to read just 10 pages of a book feels like this monumental, exhausting chore? Well, today we're going on a cinematic exploration into the mechanics of why habits actually stick. We're going to focus on one of the most powerful concepts from our source material, the fourth law of behavior change. And that law is beautifully simple: make it satisfying.
It really boils down to this big question. Why do some people stay consistent for literally years, while others, and let's be totally honest here, we have all been in this boat, give up after just a few days? It's an incredibly relatable struggle. You know the feeling? You start out with this massive burst of motivation, maybe you buy a shiny new gym membership, or you vow to read every single night, but a week later, you're right back to your old routines. So why exactly does that happen to us? Well, the root of the problem is actually evolutionary. Our brains evolved in an environment where immediate survival was quite literally the only thing that mattered. Because of that, we are hardwired to prioritize immediate gratification. We absolutely crave quick hits and instant pleasure. But the catch is, the things we want most in our modern lives, like vibrant health, wealth, and deep knowledge, those all require delayed gratification. Because of our natural wiring, most people spend all day long just chasing those quick hits, which is exactly why long-term habits end up failing. The road to lasting success is the road of delayed gratification. And honestly, it's the road less traveled. So to hack this evolutionary mismatch, you really have to understand the cardinal rule of behavior change. It goes like this. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Positive emotions cultivate habits, and negative emotions destroy them. It really is that simple down at a biological level. Okay, so how do we build a practical, everyday strategy out of this? The real secret to sticking to a habit is immediate reinforcement. Think about it for a second. Early on in a new habit, it's pretty much all sacrifice, right? If you go lift weights for 3 days, you aren't going to see any noticeable change when you look in the mirror. You need a compelling reason to stay on track. You actually have to artificially create immediate satisfaction to bridge that gap while the delayed rewards are silently accumulating in the background. You need to feel successful immediately, even if it's in a really, really small way. Let's move into section 1. Track your progress, making success visible. What's genuinely fascinating about something as basic as marking an X on a calendar is that it leverages multiple laws of behavior change all at the exact same time. First off, it makes it obvious. A streak of X's acts as a visual cue. Every time you look at it, you're reminded to take action again. Second, it makes it attractive. The absolute most effective form of human motivation is progress. Seeing that streak grow literally feeds your desire to keep going. And third, and this is the most important one, it makes it satisfying. The simple physical act of crossing an item off your list gives your brain that immediate little hit of dopamine and reward that it's constantly craving. So how do we actually put this into practice today? There's a simple, brilliant formula for it. Step 1, after my current habit. Step 2, I will track my habit. This is genius because it combines habit stocking with habit tracking. The completion of the behavior itself becomes your immediate trigger, or cue, to write it down or check it off. Let's look at how this plays out in real life. If you're a student, the sweet, sweet relief of finally closing your textbook is your immediate cue to check off your study tracker. If you're a professional, right after you hang up the phone from a grueling sales call, you physically move a paperclip from one container to another. Or if you're an athlete, the literal second you finish a heavy set at the gym, you log it in your journal. You see what's happening here? You are creating an immediate, deeply satisfying ending to the behavior. Now on to section 2, the recovery plan for when life interrupts. Because look, no matter how dedicated you are, an emergency will eventually pop up. It's just life. You'll get sick, you'll have to travel for work, or a family matter is going to suddenly demand your time. When that happens and your habit breaks, you need to remember one golden rule: never miss twice. Perfection is completely impossible, guys, but rapid recovery, that is the distinguishing trait of winners. Successful people fail all the time, they really do, but the difference is they rebound quickly. Missing once is just an accident. But missing twice? That is the start of a new habit. The very first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the downward spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. If you miss one workout, hey, that's fine. Just absolutely do not let yourself miss 2 in a row. Because progress always beats perfection. Your primary goal when a habit breaks isn't to beat yourself up or punish yourself. It's simply to keep the streak alive in the long run by getting back on track as fast as humanly possible. Reclaiming the habit quickly is what actually moves the needle.
All right, moving to section 3, the accountability advantage, making failure painful.
Now let's flip this around. If we want to eliminate an unhealthy behavior or finally stop procrastinating, we have to add an instant cost to the bad habit. See, we repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way in the short term, right? To overcome that, there cannot be a gap between the action and the consequence. Just like you pay a really annoying late fee if you miss a bill, you need an immediate penalty for your habit. As humans, we will jump through a whole lot of hoops to avoid a little bit of immediate pain. The formal solution to this is called the habit contract. You're basically creating a structure to hold yourself accountable. First, you state your commitment super clearly. Second, you define a painful immediate punishment if you fail. And third, you sign it with an accountability partner. This works because we deeply care about the opinions of those around us. Suddenly, if you fail, you aren't just letting yourself down. You're failing to uphold a promise to someone else. And that stings. Let's look at some fantastic real-world examples of this. Entrepreneur Brian Harris wrote a literal physical contract with his trainer. If he didn't log his food, he had to pay $200 and show up to work dressed in incredibly uncomfortable formal clothes. Yikes. Thomas Franks set up an automated tweet that charged him $5 every single time he wasn't awake by 5:55 a.m. And the comedian Margaret Cho ensures she writes every day by doing a daily song challenge with a friend. These people are brilliantly leveraging social pressure and financial stakes to make sure they show up.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 4, Show Up Every Day.
This, right here, is the grand vision. The absolute holy grail of habit change is not some single miraculous overnight transformation. It's 1,001% improvements. It's layering these tiny, satisfying changes on top of one another. Every single time you track a habit, you're adding a little grain of sand to the positive side of your scale. And eventually, if you keep adding,